Hello from Marrakesh, Gitex 2024. I'm here together with Pascal Mvondo, regional lead Francophone Africa and Middle East at United Nations Better Than Cash Alliance. Hello Pascal, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pascal, what is the UN Better Than Cash Alliance?
The UN Better Than Cash Alliance is a global partnership of the United Nations, bringing together governments, international organizations, and also private sector companies to focus on how to make digital payment or payment digitization a catalyst for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. Reduction of extreme poverty, for instance, reduction of inequality of treatment between men and women. You know, the responsible digitization of payment can actually improve 13 out of the 17 SDGs.
Okay, very interesting. So when we look at Africa, financial inclusion is a big challenge. And there, digital payments play a crucial role, of course. So from your perspective, what is the current state and what is the desired outlook?
It's very interesting because here we are talking about the future of finance. And the first thing when you think about financial inclusion, you think about the challenges. We can think about the challenges, but that was the past story of Africa. As of now, according, for instance, to GSMA, we know that Africa is the world center for digital payments globally, with most of new digital payments happening in the continent. So from that perspective, the journey looks bright. But now what we want to see is how to connect the progress that we have been able to achieve in financial inclusion across the continent, how to connect that with real development outcomes, how to make that work for everyone in this continent.
Okay, thank you. So from your perspective, if you look at these markets and when you talk about digital payments, we have over 50 countries in Africa. So each market, each country has its own regulations, policies. What do you think that policy harmonization does it play a crucial role in that development?
Let me give you a good news. The good news is since 2021, Africa has started an activation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is the world's largest free trade area according to the participating countries. So now you have two trends in this continent, being the leader in terms of digital payments and also being the land of the biggest free trade area. The good news is that the continent now has to bring together these two very exciting news for making that work so that in this market, when it comes, for instance, to trade, every trader can really strive in this market. And harmonization across the different countries is going to happen in particular because as part of the implementation of the Africa Continental Trade Area, they have binding protocols that every state will have to apply. So this is where I say harmonization will have to apply to ensure that every trader can pay, can send a product, and everyone, we're talking about a market of 1.4 billion people, can really enjoy that new area of the continent, the single market, in fact.
So the harmonization will actually happen naturally throughout the trade agreement?
The harmonization has started and is going to be amplified through that trade protocols, yes.
All right, thank you. Gitex 2024, I'm sure you had some time to walk around, seeing some panels. What is your feeling? How do you see Africa's outlook in the next 5 to 10 years?
Africa is really, you're talking about the next years, the next 10 years, but I believe that that future has started now. Because the previous session of Gitex, I believe we have around 10,000 or 15,000 different participants. Now we have almost 40,000, showing that there is a bigger interest on Africa. This is number one. Second, what we have seen also is that the numbers of partnership, cooperation agreement that are signed on a daily basis at Gitex is just amazing. So we see Gitex as an opportunity or as an implementing tool for the success of the Africa Continental, the one market, in fact. But now what we want to see more and more is to ensure that the type of partnership that are built here really serve the population of the end user, of the people. So this is our call to action is truly how to make sure that, as part of bringing together all these representatives of the private sector, the public sector, the tech ecosystem, to talk, to share what they've been able to do, to share what are the main challenges, how to make sure that as part of this, conversation, we are prioritizing solutions that are going to meet the end user needs.
Yeah. Okay, so you just mentioned the private and public sector. So do you think it's very important for them that they finally come together?
This is the DNA of the Better Than Cash Alliance, because we realize that the moment, for instance, you want to scale your operation, if I'm a small trader, the moment I want to scale my operation beyond the borders, let's take a practical example. I'm based in Lagos and I want to do business in Ghana. I will have to cross Togo, Benin, and so on. So for moving from Lagos to Ghana, I will have to deal with the Naira, the CFA, the ZAF, and the CEDI. So it's going to be very challenging. So it's really important that as a trader, I can raise my concerns to the government, the policy makers, so that they can find solutions to facilitate, for instance, cross-border payments with these different currencies, especially as in Africa, we have more than 40 different currencies. You have the question of the payment, but you also have the question of the logistics, because one thing is to sell, another thing is you want to make sure that you can send your product. And for that product to move from point B to point A to point B to cross the borders, is also important to make sure that we have proper regulation. Yeah. So this is why this is not something that only a trader can address. You need a trader. You need the tech innovators who is going to think in terms of developing the appropriate solutions for the payment, for the logistics. You need the regulator to understand what are the barriers as they appear in the field, so that they can be also innovative with the type of regulation. You need the policy makers to provide the right incentives that are really going to benefit those actors. And this is why it's really important, and this is something that I appreciate about the Gitex, is to have it as an ecosystem conversation, an ecosystem summit. And I'm proud that we have almost achieved that goal with this edition of the Gitex.
Perfect. I couldn't agree more. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your insights. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
That was Tech Africa News from Gitex 2024. You can find more on techafricanews.com.